Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We are back in the kitchen. It's been a while. I'm rocking the gingerbread apron. I think there's probably a little more ginger in my bread now over the last couple months. But Eli likes that joke. You like that joke. Make some noise. No. he didn't like that joke. All right. Anyways, we're back. I'm going to make, this is Kona in banana bread, but we're actually going to do something different. And I just tried this the other day, actually yesterday for the first time, and not make it as banana bread, but make it as a bundt cake. And then we're also going to talk about making some pumpkin bread with basically the same recipe, just substituting pumpkin and some spices for the banana. And we're going to make a cool, quick cream cheese frosting. So that's what we're going to accomplish today. So first things first, the recipe calls for, we're going to do our butter. So this is 2 cubes of salted butter, softened, and then it's going to be 2 cups of sugar. So we're going to cream this together. Now this banana bread recipe, this is another one that came from the Pacific Athletic Club, from the recipe exchange. I think it was like out of a gourmet magazine, and I've been making it for over 20 years. So 2 cups of white granulated sugar. Now this one, I'm using a mixer. So we're gonna cream together butter and sugar. Do this really quick. All right, that should be good. So at this point, the cool thing about this recipe is it calls for cake flour. So I use soft to silk cake flour. The difference between cake flour and all-purpose flour, you probably know, cake flour has got less protein in it, so there's less gluten. It's going to make for a more moist cake. And I would tell you right now that if you have a favorite banana bread recipe that you like to use, your mom's, your grandmother's, whoever, and it calls for all-purpose flour, try cake flour. You might be surprised how it comes out. So this calls for 2.5 cups of cake flour. It's 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, but you have to sift it 3 times. So I don't want to sit here and have you watch me sift this 3 times. So I've already sifted it twice. So we'll just do one more time here through the handy dandy sifter. This is an old one that I've had forever. I don't know what kind of sifter that you're rocking in your kitchen. This is the 3rd time through, so it's not so critical that you're nice and neat, but we're gonna sift this. Also, the other thing about this recipe is that when you mix it all together, you don't mix it a lot. You just kind of, I'm gonna fold this flour in at the end. So I think that's one of the reasons why it calls for cake flour. It's gonna make for a way more moist cake. So we're gonna get this in there. Just dump the leftovers that came through. All right, we'll set these aside. So now, I'm gonna take this, do this, a little warm tonight. 4 eggs, so I already cracked them. So we have our 4 beaten eggs are gonna go in here. And then also 3 cups of bananas. So I'm sure you know this is what you're looking for, right? This is the kind of banana that you want if you're making banana bread. So I've got a ton of bananas in here. We've already peeled them. I'm gonna quickly mash them up. We'll get this in here. So the camera can get that. And this is gonna be 3 cups. And 3 cups is like maybe 7 bananas, 6 or 7 bananas. The riper they are, you don't want them to be black, but I think a good brown ripe banana is perfect. So we're gonna throw 3 cups, and we're just gonna put them right in here. And again, it doesn't have to be precise measurements. So just about exactly 3 cups. And that was about 8 bananas actually, just smaller. You put these away. All right. So now we're gonna beat the wet mixture in with the butter and the sugar. And you really want to incorporate it well. let this rest for a second. So I want to talk about the other options with this bread. So when I started making this bread recipe, I like pumpkin bread. So I was always like, well, I wonder if it would work for pumpkin bread. So basically, I discovered that if you just substitute canned pumpkin for the bananas, 3 cups, and one of these big cans is just like 3.5 cups. So it's almost a can of this. And then you take the spices, which is the cinnamon, the ginger, and the cloves, and you add that into this dry mix, and you sift it all together. You basically have a killer pumpkin bread recipe. You can add raisins, you can add nuts, whatever you want to do. You can also put nuts in this. I don't, but you certainly can. Okay, so now you can see it's fully incorporated, and then that's it. We're gonna just add this flour. So I usually do about 1/3 maybe at a time, and I'm not really gonna mix it hard. I'm gonna spin the bowl, kind of just stir it in, fold it in basically. So we get this done. I also preheated the oven to 350. The cake I made, and we'll show it to you a little later, my little tester bun cake that I made yesterday, I cooked it on convection. And after doing some research, I kind of found out that you really don't want to bake cakes, and I don't bake a lot of them. You don't want to bake them on convection. You're better off to go straight with your oven. If you do go convection, you're going to want to lower the temperature a little bit. So do our little second batch in here. Again, just spinning, kind of folding it. You don't want to mix it, over mix it. So, all right, almost done here. So I hope you guys are holding up. We're getting close to opening up. It is, what's today? June what? June 17th, June 16th, June 17th? I don't even know what day it is. I don't even know. It's Sunday at 10 o'clock at night. That's all I know. That's all I could tell you. We're gonna finish this up. 14th. June 14th, see? It's only June 14th. Props to my son who graduated college, kinda. He did graduate, pretty much. We're gonna say yes. I posted on Facebook. We watched the virtual ceremony yesterday, and a lot of people had some kind things to say on Facebook, so thank you for that. All right, we are pretty much done with this banana bread. So let me get a look and see on the big camera. It is all folded in. Now, this is something new that I've never done before. We're gonna add mini morsels. Now, usually I'm a Guittard guy, but Guittard doesn't make mini semi-sweet. And I figured that after consulting with a few people, that it was better to go minis in a bundt cake. So those bad boys are going in. Just gonna fold them in. And it's interesting, this batter is really thick, so hopefully they'll hold up and they won't sink to the bottom. I don't think they will. All right, now we're gonna talk pans. So when I make my banana bread, normally I've been using these pans. This thing is so old, but it'll make 4 loaves. This recipe makes about 6, so I have to do a second batch with 2. They're smaller. I only have to bake them for 20 minutes at 350 degrees, and they come out like these little cakes, and it's perfect. You could make them this way if you wanted to. It's a little bigger pan. It'll make 2 of these. You're probably gonna have to bake it for 35 minutes as opposed to 20 minutes. We are going full bundt. So we're gonna check this out. Also using Pam baking spray, but it's the Release baking spray that has the flour in it. It's got like a little vibe of vanilla as well in the kind of the smell and the foam. So for me, it's better than the butter flavored sprays. You certainly want to spray this pan, because if you don't, you're going to regret it later. Because there's nothing worse than having your bundt cake stuck in there. So, all right, we're going to go for it. Pour this in. It looks good, smells good. All right, let's see. Kind of blocked it there. All right, I'm not gonna get crazy. So we're gonna tap this a little bit. All right, 300 degrees, 350 degrees. So basically they say anywhere between 45 and 55 minutes for a bundt cake, but I'm gonna put it at 40 because I'm gonna check it and we'll come back to there. So I'm gonna clean this up a little bit and we'll come back and make some cream cheese frosting. Okay, the banana bread or banana bundt cake is in the oven. I'm gonna make some frosting. This is a cream cheese and butter frosting. So I looked at a ton of different recipes. I never really made a lot of frosting. I would just buy it if I frosted cakes. And so I started the other day, maybe 2 days ago, looking and trying to figure out what kind of cream cheese frosting, because I love cream cheese frosting on banana bread and on pumpkin bread as well. So they're all kind of the same. It doesn't matter if it's gourmet or Bon Appetit or Martha Stewart. It's all basically 1 cube of butter, could be unsalted or salted, with cream cheese. And if you use unsalted butter, you add a little salt. If you use salted butter, you don't add salt. And then powdered sugar and vanilla. So we're gonna make a simple one. This is based on Martha Stewart's version. So Philadelphia cream cheese, very softened, and 1 cube of butter, also extremely softened. Now the technique here is that you want to combine them in stages. So this is gonna be the butter and the cream cheese together. So I'm gonna whip this, let this go for a minute till it is totally incorporated. It doesn't really take that long. I'm doing this on 10. We'll turn that off and get a chance to kind of see how that looks together. Totally incorporated. Now, this calls for vanilla, so we're gonna do a tablespoon. Actually, we're gonna do a teaspoon. It calls for 1 teaspoon, but I'm very much an OV. I'm gonna call that OV instead of an OG, which means I over vanilla pretty much anything. Almost every recipe I have, I've changed it from teaspoons to tablespoons, whatever it might be. So the vanilla goes in now. Again, we're gonna start it, make sure it doesn't splash up, and then go for it. So now on this one, I'm gonna scrape down, just to make sure that it's all incorporated. I'm gonna hit it one more time. The more you beat it, the more lighter and fluffier it's gonna get. All right. Now at this point, we're adding powdered sugar. So with the powdered sugar, I pre-sifted it. A lot of times it'll just kind of get all clumpy, so you wanna sift it, and that'll make it a little better. So I'm gonna do it basically 1 cup at a time until I get it the sweetness and the thickness that I want. Start slow, or else it's just gonna explode on you. And now we let it go. I think you can see from the other camera angle how it kind of takes shape in the bowl. Now again, you can use a hand mixer if you want to, if you really want to have that kind of control over it. But if you have one of these, it's way better. All right, fun part, just gonna taste it. So if you like, it's a really cream cheesy, so it's good. I want it to be a little sweeter. Add a little more sugar. So if you make this as just regular banana bread and you don't do the bundt cakes, I still suggest making some frosting and having it on the side. You can frost it after. You could put roasted nuts on top of the frosting, especially if you do the pumpkin bread. Because if you think about what Starbucks sells you or whatever, it's got a little frosting on it. It's got a little crystallized ginger if you want to put that on there. You could dress it up any way that you want. All right, taste it one more time. Stop there, taste it. That's pretty good. All right, I'm good with that. So I'm gonna beat it a little more, get it all nice and airy. And that's it. You got your cream cheese frosting. All right. It's basically been a little over 50 minutes. And we can see, I mean, to me, it's hard to tell if it's cooked in that middle part right there. It seems like it's gonna be close, but with the chocolate chips, who knows? So we're gonna take it out, set it here. It's gotta cool for a little bit, and then we'll flip it up, flip it over, see what happens. All right, so this has been sitting here for about, I don't know, maybe 7 to 10 minutes. I'm gonna take a little knife, kind of run it to the edge. You can see on one of the angles here, it's kind of starting to push back. That's because of the spray that we used. So it smells so good. At this point though, I'm really only praying that it's set up. I really don't have a clue. So we're gonna try to flip this out of here and see what we came up with. Just push this back. It seems to be working pretty well. All right, so we're gonna do this. Flip it. Ooh, don't drop it. Oh, I think that came out. Sometimes you gotta tap it. Yeesh. Voila. You can see some of those chips stuck in here. It looks really good. So I want to show you the one that we did yesterday, because I'm not going to frost this. My piping skills are not very good. So this was our tester yesterday. You can see it with, there's no chips in there, and then this was the frosting that we piped on. So I would pipe some frosting on this. Maybe I'll show you a picture when it's all said and done, but that's it for tonight. So I think we're gonna, you wanna cut it? You wanna taste it? You wanna taste it, don't you? Eli's giving me the blankest stare off camera that you could possibly imagine. But we're gonna taste this tonight. It smells really good. So here's your Kona Inn banana bread, nope, not banana bread, chocolate chip bundt cake. So thanks for hanging out with me tonight. And I'll post all the recipes up there, the pumpkin bread, the banana bread, this cake, and the frosting. Have a good night.